Patreon Q&A, I wanted to do a quick little rundown of the tech tools that I use to film for YouTube, Patreon, and for my Skillshare classes. So I don't have a ton of technology, but there are a few key things that I use to try and up the production value of my videos and of my courses. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys, which is right here and close to me, and I'm sorry if this sound gets a little funky because I'm using it, but it's my little H1n Handy Recorder. I have a little mini Rode mic that I have attached to my bigger DSLR, but I find that when I am recording with my Canon G7X, it's just easier to have a second audio set that I can sync because it just sounds better. Because I love the Canon G7X, it's really great to kind of film on the go, but the sound quality is not that great. So I use this little recorder. I have a Joby stand that I usually use for my G7X when I have it on my desk. But I find that when I'm using my G7X on my tripod, this little guy is perfect to kind of have off to the side for my second set of sound. Speaking of mics, I also have a little mini Rode shotgun mic that I have attached to my Canon. But like I said, sometimes if I'm using this G7X, and before I had the H1n one, I would just connect this little guy to that little Joby or to my phone, and I'll have that as my second source of audio. Along with cameras, my camera setup, I usually try to have either 2 views, or sometimes if I'm being lazy, I'll just have the one. My go-to is usually the Canon G7X, but I use that for vlogging. I use it for anything where I'm outdoors because it's small and compact and easy to use. It's like the typical vlogger camera, and I personally like the color that it gives me. It gives me a nice, cool, clean undertone, whereas I love my D70, but it has a tendency to be really, really warm in terms of the footage, which causes it to be yellow. And it could just be me not knowing how to use it 100% the best way. I have to fiddle a lot with the color settings in order for me to get a neutral kind of color versus something that's too yellow or too blue or something like that. But I use the G7X mostly, and then when I'm doing my videos for Skillshare and things like that, I try to use this all the time. It's just if I do try to do a double setup with both shots, it's hard to color match. So it just adds more work to post-production if I use both of these at the same time. I think I'm still fiddling with the settings of this because this gives me a beautiful, beautiful picture. It's just a matter of the color, which I end up fixing in post-production if I need to. But then this big beast, the Canon 70D, we've had this for quite a few years. I used it a lot when I was running the magazine. I used it for video, I used it for photography, I use it for family photos when we go on trips, things like that. And then to up production value, I have a ring light, super simple. It's a Neewer ring light. You can find it on Amazon for under $100. Again, it just helps to kind of balance my lighting. I have a lot of light from this side of the room because I have a big, huge window in my studio office upstairs, and then I don't have any windows on this side, so I end up putting the ring light over here to help balance out my color, and it's really simple and easy to use. It's an LED ring light. I've had it for quite a few years now, and I love it, and it comes with a stand when you buy the whole set. Yeah, so the lighting and the sound, those additional pieces really help to up the audio and up the overall viewing quality of my videos for my classes and for YouTube. I don't always use it for my vlogs because it's a lot to set up, but I do find that when I'm filming a class, I have it out, I have everything out, so I just up it or I just use it, and then I can jump in and do a quick vlog. What else? I use my MacBook, that's a 2013, that's really old, but I basically try to max it out when I first got it, so it's still running pretty strong for me. I edit all of my videos on Final Cut Pro. I have multiples of these, but I just had to get a new one. But I use external hard drives to store all of my video footage and organize them. But I recently had to get a newer one. This one is only 2 terabytes, and I find that with editing on Final Cut Pro, it tends to kind of like bulk up your files, so I have to consolidate my libraries often, but it fills up my external really quickly. So I have one now that's a 5 terabyte, and I basically just use that for Skillshare classes and YouTube, and then I have this for all of my other stuff like freelance work, graphic design work, any kind of creative work. So I have the external hard drives to kind of like work with memory issues and save all of my files, and then I have tons and tons of SD cards. My biggest ones are up to 200 gigabytes. My smallest ones are 32 gigabytes, and I go through multiples of these every month, and then I basically dump everything on the hard drive, and then I organize it by day so that I can coordinate, you know, what goes to what. If it's a vlog, what day, what month, which vlog number. If it's a class, it goes into Skillshare, whichever specific class, and then I have files for like Patreon and things like that. So I have quite a few of these because I just find it's easier for me to organize rather than, or to have a bunch of them that I can just fill up rather than having to dump right away. But I do edit on Final Cut Pro. It was totally worth it. I used to do Adobe Premiere, but again, this is a whole, I jumped away from Adobe last year, or no, almost 2 years ago now, and I use Affinity products, and I found that just using Final Cut Pro, which was meant for the Mac, it just makes things easier. It's not the, you know, it's not the end all be all in terms of editing and production, but it's a really great value. And I went to bed at almost 4 a.m. because I've been working on a class.
No, she went to bed at 4 a.m. because she said right after 3 a.m.
Alright, so the last thing I want to share with you guys are my tripods. I have 2 tripods. Both of them are Manfrotto. I used to have cheapy ones from Amazon, but they would break all the time, and Dwight was kind enough to purchase me 2 stands for my birthday and Christmas last year. Those were my gifts, and they're totally worth it. One I used for my camera, and then I have this one with kind of like an adjustable arm that allows me to get overhead shots for like my tutorials for my classes and the tutorials for YouTube. Manfrottos are a bit more expensive, but they're totally worth it because they're heavy duty. I beat up my equipment just because I use it. I don't do it on purpose. I don't mistreat it. I really take good care of my stuff, but when you're working, especially when I was working, running the magazine, it took a lot.
She treats her computer. She uses it too much.
Yes, I use my stuff. So, like, when I would be outdoors and things like that, the cheapy one, it's fine if you're working inside all the time, but if you're doing stuff outside, if you're going to shoot on set and things like that,
it's snowing?
Yes, and if you have heavy duty equipment, it just makes it better. You have higher quality equipment, it's gonna last longer. Even though you pay more, it lasts longer. That's why I always tell people, like, you're like, oh, Macs, oh my god. But the reality is that most of my Macs have lasted me at least 10 years. So versus if I bought a PC and then, but then again, I've had to, with working in the industry, I had to learn how to use both Macs and PCs. So I think it's just a matter of, you know, preference, but also quality and how long it's going to last you. When I would buy a PC, it'd end up dying every 2 years. I'm buying a new computer every 2 years, whereas my Macs tend to last me a good 10 years. This one is running on 7, almost 8, and it's starting to kind of like run slower. But then again, I think it's honestly because my production value for my footage and for my courses and for YouTube and things like that is going up, so it's a lot more heavy duty, so I'm probably going to have to get a new computer at some point. But these guys are absolutely amazing. That's pretty much what I have for all of my tech, for what I do work-wise. And yeah, I hope you guys find this interesting. I always like to see what other people use, so I hope you guys found this helpful. And yes, absolutely invest in tripods because you'll go through a lot if you don't. Alright, I'll see you all next month. Be on the lookout for your Patreon snail mail, and thanks for your support.